How lost have we become as a species? How many times can our world leaders brush off the continued warning signs as though everything is fine? How long can we ignore the impending threat of doom to our race before it finally reaches us? Sadly, we got our answer. The date was January 2nd, 3032, when humanity had turned the bleak Earth that we used to know into a bright utopia. There was no more wars, no more riots, no more illnesses. We were, in a word, safe from anything life would throw at us. Of course, the term Earth is inaccurate. Sadly, despite our best efforts, the economy had only gotten worse, especially for less fortunate parts of the world. People were angered by this, and as a result, terrorism grew much more common. Yet the government just laughed it off as the technology today prevented the terrorist groups from obtaining any weaponry. The weaponry industry was just too secure, and thus terrorism was no longer that much of a threat anymore. But the terrorist groups soon found out they didn't need firearms, or even bombs for that matter. With technological advancements in life comes more waste. In this case, nuclear waste. All those nuclear power plants powering our machinery caused enough nuclear waste to smother an entire country to be produced each year. And where does the government dump all this? Of course, in those unfortunate countries. This meant that on a simple walk you would come across a heap of toxic waste just sitting there. 3 years later was the first attack. In the city of New York, a strong, strange smell was very clearly present in the breathing air. People reported throwing up blood and feeling incredibly weak. No one at that point knew that this was the work of those terrorist fractions, or how they were able to perform this. This was only the beginning. A day later, a group of men in very thick, heavy biohazard suits appeared, where the smell was the strongest, and investigated the area while large men in black suits patrolled the perimeter. No one that was around that day was ever seen again. The government tried its best to cover up the event, but quite ironically, with today's technology, word spread quickly and people began to panic. With the smell getting stronger and thus more dangerous each passing day, riots broke out in broad daylight. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention tried their best to find the cause of this problem, but to no avail. All was revealed on November the 3rd, 3036, when unidentified green particles were spotted in Colorado. It was a horrific sight for me. Out of nowhere, people began to lose large chunks of their flesh. Their skin melted and folded into itself, as if their skeletal structure broke down into nothing. The only thing keeping my team alive were the biohazard suits we were wearing, as we received a report about a general sickness forming around that area. Again, with people vomiting and whatnot. We witnessed this as we arrived, with a woman crawling onto the road, screaming at the top of her melting lungs, "Help me!" before her face collapsed into itself as she fell silent. 26 years after that event, the world is nothing but a wasteland. We've bombed the terrorist countries so much that we've managed to harm ourselves, but with all the radioactivity floating in the air. I'm going to die soon. I know it. I've inhaled quite an amount of toxic particles, and I feel the rising blood in my throat. If we ever survive this hell, let this be a lesson learned.